All right, so it's not quite yet time for the lecture, but this is just so that you guys see that there are already some students on Google Meet. You guys can't wait to work on quiz 26. But you see that we have a little bit of lectures to do before quiz 26. Okay. And the reason that I turned to I started streaming a little bit early is because I want to go to quiz 25, which you guys have completed yesterday. Okay. And go through a few answers from you guys so that it's easier to start the lecture. Okay. And before we go over quiz 25, let me just communicate what's to do today. So there's actually nothing more than what we have already announced yesterday. So essentially, 4 quizzes, 1 PA, and exams coming next week. Okay, so feel free to join, but I guess at this point it's okay. Wherever you are, just stay calm. We won't be needing Google Meet until quiz 26. Okay, so uh, yeah, so just stay calm so that in the middle of the lecture I don't need to pick up your call. Okay, all right. So now quiz 25. So this is where we ended up with yesterday. And so it was a open-ended question. So the goal of that quiz is so that you guys started thinking about why we run into conditions. And as a human beings who have experience, plenty of experience running into condition, we might be able to come up with the solutions of our own to address the issue, isn't it? And I see that, hey, in pretty much all the teams, you know exactly why, right? Too many cars driving too fast. Into the transportation network. Okay, and there are sometimes because there are construction work, right, or ill design in the transportation system where cars will need to slow down significantly, okay, to get around. Okay, so especially for highway, you don't want such a design if you don't want the cars to slow down, if you don't want to cause a congestion, okay, like that. And some of you say weather. Yeah, rain is a main cause. Okay. Uh, and then accidents. Okay. And I think in most of the time, chances higher that you run into congestion because it's rush hours. Okay. And then next, car accidents. And then weather. Okay. Um, but I see that you guys all kind of figure out how to address the issue, right? So you are a Uber driver and you are taking your customers to the airport, right? In the middle of the highway, you see congestion, okay? You can report, right? Either directly to your friends who are also Uber drivers so that they will slow down. First, they avoid coming into a congestion. Second, if these cars do not come on highway, number one, there's a higher chance, right? You get to move, okay, instead of waiting for the conditions to unlock itself. And some of you say that, hey, you know what? Everyone get access to Google Map. So as these drivers coming on the road, they should probably just, check Google Map at the end, at the very beginning, at the source, okay, instead of waiting for notifications to come. So you know what? Those drivers trying to figure things out from their end and control themselves, that's actually one of the very common ways of addressing congestion control. Okay. Another way is, as you guys said, right? I'm now on highway, I see congestion, I report. Okay, in the middle of the network, report such that the ends, the sources of the congestion will slow down. You know what? That's exactly what we will be talking about, the general approaches of handling congestion control. And there are two of them. Here's the first one.
With the scenarios elaborated, you see, particularly in scenario 3, the only solution or the only effective solution to a congestion is to what? Just slow down. And therefore, the two key design elements in a congestion control mechanisms are these. First, detecting when a congestion is occurring. Second, notifying the traffic sources that's causing the congestion to slow down. And there are two major approaches allowing us to achieve those. First is called the end-to-end based approach, the other, the network-assisted approach. Now, from the name of it, you probably guessed. Yeah, end-to-end meant the end systems are doing much of the work, detecting condition, informing the traffic source to slow down. Network-assisted, on the other hand, is asking the routers to do all these work instead. Let's first focus on the end-to-end approach. So in this approach, the end systems will need to infer if there's a congestion occurring inside the network. If you recall back in TCP, okay, what we're doing is sending multiple packets in one flight to the receiver. Receiver sending ACK back. And all these packets and ACKs carry the sequence numbers. So receiver can actually detect a gap, okay, in the packets being received, and therefore sends duplicate ACKs instead of new ACKs. So receiving duplicate ACKs is a way of detecting if there's a loss, or the sender side can simply time out and then retransmit. That's also a signal of detecting there's potentially a congestion inside the network. So that is, observing from the loss occurring, inferring there's a congestion. One can also observe if there's delay changes. Okay, so for example, when we send packet out, let's track the sending time. Okay, let's track also the time when the ACK for that packet comes back. Calculate the difference, you get the round trip time. And if you observe for a long enough time, you might see, oh, the round trip time is increasing. When it goes beyond a certain threshold, then you could say that, also, network is running into a slight congestion there. Okay, so overall, general mechanisms, observe packet losses. If there is an increasing trend, observe the delay. If there is an increasing trend, then you're going into this hotter zone where congestion is likely occurring. Now, taking this approach, we do not get explicit feedback from the internet, from the routers inside the internet. And taking the end-to-end approach, we'll have to also guess or infer the right sending rate. Okay, so this is for the source to know exactly what is the right rate to send the data so that we do not overwhelm the network in the meantime, not being too conservative, too slow sending the data out. Okay. And this is actually rather hard to do for the end systems. After all, they're actually at the very edge of the network. The congestion could be happening anywhere inside the network along the path. So what the end-to-end approach is doing is this, okay, guessing. By trying a certain rate and observe if there's a loss, okay, if there's a growing delay. If not, then cool. This is actually within the available bandwidth. So maybe let's raise the rate a little bit and see, right, if there's a loss now, if the delay increases now. If not, then hey, we're still safe. Let's, increase it so that we're not too conservative, too slow sending the data out. Now, but if we exceed a certain point, and as a result, we begin to see loss, and we begin to see the delay increasing drastically. Yeah, that is actually not good. That indicates that we're probably exceeding the available bandwidth threshold, and therefore we are sending data too much, too fast into the network. So if we are failing, if we are detecting the signals of congestions, then that's slowed down. Okay, so end system here to infer, to find out what is the right sending rate is by trying. Okay, pushing. If we over push it, let's come down again and then try to push it again. Well, if not good enough, slow down again. So this is in fact the approach also taken by TCP. This is actually very natural because TCP being a transport layer protocol, it's actually implemented receiving side, sending side both at the end systems. Therefore, it implements an end-to-end based congestion control mechanism.
All right, so that was the first kind. You see that in congestion control, not only that the source of congestion will need to somehow discover there is a congestion, that source there will also need to decide what is the right speed to getting to the traffic. So you see that there are actually two parts: how to discover there's a congestion and how to transmit or drive in the right speed so that you do not make the congestion worse and yet you can still move on. But that was the end-to-end approach. There's another approach, okay? Network assisted, you already saw it.
The network assisted approach. Okay, so in this approach, routers will be doing the congestion detection. But how? Well, we also need to observe something, but this time we could actually observe something that's very directly related to congestion. That's the queue size. Okay, so this is the queue of these packets gathering at the entry point of the router. Okay, so congestion is this: sources of the traffic sending data too much, too fast into the network. Inside the network, we have these routers, right, handling packet forwarding. If the outgoing rate is slow and incoming rate is high, then these packets will need to what? Be buffered temporarily, okay, at the entry point of these routers. And therefore, they get a chance to wait for their turn to go out on the outgoing link. If the outgoing rate is slow, incoming rate is high, queue gets long, and free buffer space gets small. Right? So queue size or free buffer space, okay, changes of these, okay, are good indications of a congestion occurring. Now, routers, however, are the devices in the middle. Okay, how do the routers inform the sources so that the sources know that they need to serve them? Yeah, this is the way it's done. Okay, so there are these bits, special bits, okay, inside the packets. So when these packets travel through a router, and the router is so busy, queue size is so big, or free buffer space is so small, these bits get turned on. Okay? And when the packets arriving at the receiver, receivers can check these flags or check these bits and then inform the source of the data, the sources of the packets. Okay? Now, in Internet, okay, the TCP/IP protocol suite, okay, yeah, let me explain. Yeah, TCP is actually a transport layer service. Okay. But sometimes we also call the transport layer the TCP layer. IP is actually a network layer protocol, and therefore, sometimes we actually refer to the network layer as the IP layer. So TCP/IP here is actually referring to the Internet protocol stack because the transport layer is running TCP. The network layer is running IP. So these two are the very typical classical protocols that are running, okay, supporting the operation of the Internet. So in TCP/IP or in Internet, we have these special bits, and we call them the explicit congestion notification bits. So when the router inside the Internet, the queue size gets large enough or the free buffer space gets small enough, we set the ECN bits on. And therefore, the receiving end, the TCP receiver there, seeing the ECN bits on can inform the source to send them. Now, that is how the routers in network-assisted approach detect congestion and notifying the source of the congestion. What's nice about this approach is this: the routers there observe exactly how much free space there is, okay, and dividing by the number of flows that's going through, number of connections that's going through. Hey, routers can also be more explicit, telling the receiver to inform the source. Now, set the sending rate to this size. Set your sending window size to a particular size, such that we will not be overwhelming, the router buffer space. Just like the flow control mechanism, right? Receiver there observing the receiving buffer, depending on how much is free, set the sending window size accordingly, and voila, problem solved. Receiving buffer will never be overwhelmed. Similarly, the router's receiving buffer here will never be overwhelmed.
All right, so that is the second approach, the network assisted approach. And if you follow the video, you see that this approach is actually really nice, right? The router where the congestion is happening will explicitly tell everyone. And that router can also tell everyone exactly what is the right sending rate. So it seems to be more informative, okay, if you take the network assisted approach. But you can probably also guess how it might be very hard to implement network assisted approach on the Internet, because it will require every router in the core of the Internet to do that, to kind of track what is the traffic level, track the queue size, buffer space, and somehow send this ECN thing to the end so that everybody can slow down accordingly. Okay, and we already said it in chapter 1 and 2. You don't want to have too much complexity in the middle of the network, in the core of the Internet. You want the complexity at the edge, right? Yeah, that is why on the Internet we do congestion control at the end. We take the end-to-end approach. All right. Now, next is the first video about how TCP does congestion control. And this is more about, recall the end-to-end approach. There's a part that we need to somehow guess what is the right sending rate, right? So that it's not, adding to the congestion. And yet, in the meantime, the TCP sender can still send something, right? After all, the reason that we build the TCP connection is that we have something to send. And that mechanism, guessing what is the right sending rate, is called the AIMD.
And we'll take a look at an example of an end-to-end based approach, TCP's condition control mechanism. And TCP does it this way. The sender will increase the sending rate gradually if there are no packet losses detected. But as soon as there's a packet loss, we drop the sending rate drastically. So point number one here, packet loss is used as an indication of network congestion in TCP. Point number two, TCP is actually implementing a trying failing process to discover what is the proper sending rate. Now, by sending rate here, I'm adjusting. In TCP, it's implemented this way by changing the sending window size. You see that the sending window size is a limiting number of bytes we can send out within one round trip time. Therefore, increasing the sending window size is increasing the sending rate. All right, the exact process of doing the trying and failing is called the additive increase multiplicative decrease, or AIMD to be short. So AI describes the increasing process of the sending rate. So this is done by setting the window size and such that it increases one packet for round trip time. And the decreasing part is this cutting the window size to half of it, okay, after detecting a packet loss. So you see the increasing part is slow and linear. The decreasing part is drastic, multiplicative. So additive increase, multiplicative decrease. Okay. Linear increase, multiplicative decrease. So if I show the sending window here over time, we'll see when there are no losses, the window size is going to grow linearly. As soon as we hit the loss, we drop the window size drastically to half of it. So additive increase, multiplicative decrease. So each of these AIMD episodes looks like a sawtooth. And that is why people often say TCP's window size change over time shows a sawtooth behavior. One thing I want to add is this. We say we increase the window size by one packet per round trip time, but TCP sequence size is counting data by bytes. Window size is therefore also counting the maximum amount of data we could send out by bytes. So what do we mean by increasing the window size by one packet? That doesn't make sense. How do we implement that? Yeah, so the fact in the implementation, what's being done is to increase the window size by one maximum segment size. Okay, so MSS here, if it's configured to be 1460 bytes, then the window size is incremented by 1460 if there's no loss detected within a RAM. And this is actually related to the second point I want to stress. Yeah, you see here, the full name of the sending window is no longer WND. Right? It's actually called the congestion window size, CWND. Because the sending window size is dynamic in TCP, and it's actually controlled by the congestion control mechanism. That's why the window is now referred to as the congestion window. And this is TCP's process of trying to probe and discover the available bandwidth. Now let's bring up the diagram we used to explain TCP. Now it's counting bytes. Now each of these is what? A byte. If we'll be generating a new packet, then we'll be using the byte stream number here as the sequence number of the new packet. Right? So what you're seeing here is I'm updating the diagram such that this term here is no longer WND, the sending window size. We are now calling it the congestion window size, okay, because this here, okay, CWND is dynamic. It can be large or small. It's no longer a fixed size. And how large it is depends on how the network is smooth. How small it is depends on how bad the network is congested. And the quantity CWND here limits the number of bytes there can be between the last byte sent to the last byte act. Last byte act. So green here are counting the bytes that have been sent and have been act. So the last byte act is the last screen. Yellow here are the packets sent, or the bytes sent, but not yet act. So last byte sent is here, the last yellow. Okay. So last yellow, okay, subtracting the number of the last green. That means the number of yellows. Okay, so CWND here limits the number of yellow bytes there can be at best. Last, yeah. So we say TCP's condition control is done by controlling the sending rate or changing the sending rate to discover what is the right one. We already mentioned earlier that is actually implemented by changing the window size, changing the condition window size, because the sending rate is essentially the condition window size divided by RTT, because within a round trip time, we can only send these many bytes,
All right, so you see that CWND is essentially how we control the sending rate of TCP. So in a pipeline RDT, a pipeline protocol such as TCP, right? The number of packets we are allowed to send in one batch essentially determines the sending rate, right? Because one batch is one round trip time. Good. Now let's go to quiz 26. All right, guys. So this is Polly's favorite game show when I was younger. It's called The Price is Right. Okay, so it's a game show. It's a game show that the audiences will be randomly selected to participate in a competition of guessing items such as shampoo, such as detergent. The price of these commonly seen items in a household. And those teams you see in the picture on the lower left, there are 4 teams usually selected out of the audience. Okay, and there'll be an item that the host show to the contestants and asking them to guess what is the price. Okay, but you see, okay, as we're doing quiz 26, you will be only okay. So let me let you guys in. You want to guess the price of the item that is the closest in the meantime, not exceeding the actual price. Okay. So for stage 1, all of you will be participating. Okay, so I think we have something like 16, 17 teams, but I think we have also some gaps in the team numbers. Okay, yeah, guys. So you join Google Meet, but for phase 1, okay, for stage 1, what we will do is we will go to Slack space, and then you guys will type up, okay, your estimation of the item that Polly showed. Okay, so that is stage 1, and the winner, which is the team that gets the price that is the closest to the true price but not exceeding the true price, will enter stage 2. Okay, which is shown in the picture on the upper right. Okay, the host, which is Polly now, and you, one of the teams, okay, who won stage 1, will continue on in stage 2. Okay, and for stage 2, you'll be working under pressure. Okay, therefore you need to be on Google Meet because you only have 30 seconds, and you and Polly will be like, talking to each other directly. You guess a price. Polly will provide any feedback. Okay, if your guess is higher than the true price, I would say too high. And knowing that, you need to adjust the price, right? Because you will win only when you guess the price that is exactly right. Okay, so if it's too low, Polly will say too low, then hey, what do? Yeah, you raise your guess, of course. Okay, good. So good that you are already on Google Meet, but we'll see which one of you get to interact with Polly there for stage 2. And by the way, guys, the winner of stage 1 wins 5 points, extra point, okay, for participation. Those eventually win stage 2, 20 points, okay, extra. All right. Yeah, it's manual AIMD, but maybe you want to do MIMD instead of AIMD. Hey guys. Yeah, so Aaron was asking, is the prices gonna be US dollar or NT dollar? That's just do NT dollar. How about that? So if you know the price in US dollar, try to convert it based on the recent exchange rate. Um, okay. Yeah, so let's do NT dollars. So sorry, Belen, Claudia, Anna. Uh, Try to convert the price in your mind to NT dollars. But I guess what we will do is, at least for stage one, you'll be given some time, okay, to type up your estimated price. So there's no worry. Okay, NT dollar, yes, good. Good. So now, guys, welcome to The Price is Right. That's would all the contestants please enter the W10 Quiz 26 channel? Okay, Polly is gonna reveal the first item you guys will need to guess. Okay, there's just a little thing that I would like to say, because you guys will all be typing up your guess on Slack. You see that to avoid to avoid that I announce already the true price and you editing the price without me knowing, because there's gonna be a lot of guesses I might not notice. So if you need to change your guess, okay, make sure that you put it you add another entry, okay, instead of editing the previous entry. So that way I know for sure that whether you change the answer after the true price is revealed. Okay. Now, contestants, are you ready for the first item? Yeah, okay, so here's the first item. Yeah, it's the Bounty paper towel, okay? And you want to guess the price for 3 rows of these Bounty kitchen paper, okay? Kitchen towel, paper towel, okay? And you see on the picture that, oh, they are actually pretty big rolls. Okay, 105 sheets, and each sheet's 2 layers. So really solid. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely make sure that you mention the team number, please. Okay. Yeah, Vincent, you want to mention your team number, all right? So I see Belen on behalf of Team 14. Your guessing price being 97. Kevin, 200. Okay, guys, type up your guess. You have 10 more seconds. All right, great, great, great. So hey, this is why I ask you guys to work in a team, because I see team 15 is guessing 110 and 400. Aaron? Aaron and okay. Okay, good. Jen En just removed the second guess. Okay. So you guys want to be consistent. So for example, team 13, Vincent, Yo-Yo, the which one do you go with? Yeah. Okay. So, you know what? Just in case you did not discover that your teammate has already bet some number, okay? Why don't we go with the first guess? Okay, so the subsequent guest will just discard to avoid confusion. Okay. Yeah, I know. You probably disagree with the price your teammate has guessed. Okay. We'll take the first guess. Okay. If you have multiple guesses. All right. Hey, and you know what? Polly is gonna announce the true price. And right after Polly uploaded the true price, all the subsequent guesses will not be taken anyway, will not be considered anyway. All right, good. So let me introduce the solution for, or the true price of the toilet papers. I'm sorry, the kitchen paper. You know what? 3 rows altogether. Currently on Amazon will cost you 450. Okay, so let me see which one is the closest and yet not exceeding the true price. Okay, Naiming is close, 380, Team 8. Wei San, sorry, Team 4, you are just a little bit too high. Okay. Scott, 180. Team 16, Tanya, 120. Don't you know that there's an inflation ongoing? Yeah, prices of things are all going kind of high. Leon, Team 6, you had the same guess as Team 4, a little too high. Cayenne, really smart, 477, slightly lower than 480. But that is actually beyond the true price. Oh, wait, Zijun, 420, I think you are the closest, and in the meantime, below the true price. See, Naiming, 380. You know what, Zijun, you won the first stage. Congratulations. So you're guaranteed 5 extra participation points. All right, now, contestants, okay, well done. The winner is Team 1, Zijun. Would you kindly enter the Google Me room and we'll start stage 2. Okay, Zijun, are you there? Could you turn on your camera? And guys, for stage 2, Polly will turn on her mic. Okay, so Zijun, if you are, because once you turn on your mic on Google Meet, you want to mute the YouTube stream, because otherwise you get 2 voice. It can be a little bit confusing. So let me turn on my mic. Zijun, mute disable the audio from your YouTube stream. Okay, Zijun, are you there? Could you turn on the camera?
Is it on?
It is on. Cool.
I didn't see the.
I see you as well. Okay, so that let me pin the both of us.
Okay.
Great. Now, let me reveal the item for the second phase, for the second stage. All right. It's a very special item. It's on Polly's Christmas gift list. Okay, Polly's wish list. Okay. Did it show? Yeah, it showed. Okay, so this is it. It's a subwoofer of a really nice stereo system, a sound system. Oopsie. I uploaded the wrong picture. Now you know the price. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
You know what? It's okay. I do have some backups. Okay, because this way you don't get to play the game now. Let me try to upload another one. Okay, but that is a really nice device. Okay, in case you're curious. Okay, so how about this one here? Victor, good guess. Okay, now here's the one. Have you seen these electric scooters around in Taipei? I saw them here there. Okay, particularly around the parks. Okay, so this is an electric scooter. It can drive as fast as 19 miles per hour. Wow, that's quite fast. All right, and it has a range of 19 miles. So once after a charge, you get to ride it for pretty long. So this is a commuting scooter. All right. Now, Zijun will be guessing what is the price of this electric scooter. All right. Are you ready? You have only 30 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be timing the guessing session. All right, so When I say start, then you may begin guessing. All right. Okay. Let me count it down. 3, 2, 1, start.
Is this 14,000?
Too high.
10,000?
Too high.
8,000?
Too low.
9,000?
Too low.
9,500?
Too low.
9,800?
Too low.
9,900?
Too high.
9,850?
Too high.
9,000?
Last guess?
Okay. 9,849.
Unfortunately, too high. But you know what? You could have been right. Let me reveal the answer, the true price. Okay. So, I mean, hey, it's a surprise to me that this item is kind of affordable.
Yep.
So let me provide the true solution. Yeah, the price of the scooter is, after converting to NT dollar, 9,801. So if you try to guess and taking your approach, right, you were decrementing 9,500 by 1. If you increment from you decrement from 9,850 by 1. If you increment from 9,800 by 1, then you would have been right. Okay. So, sorry, very close. Very close. Now, why don't we try it again? Guys, how about that? Okay, would you like that? So, Zijun, thank you. You win at least 5 points extra participation. All right. Let's try it again and guessing another item. So let's see what. Okay, so this is essential. Essential. Let's do this. Okay. So guys, you guys all have another chance to win at least 500 points or potentially 20 points. Okay, so here's the item. So it's a shampoo conditioner set, okay, from the brand name Pentium. Okay, it's Pentium Pro V sheer volume dual set. Okay, each is 12.6 ounce. Okay, now guys, start guessing. Okay, what is the price? You want to be close, but not exceeding the true price. Okay, all of you can participate. Oh wow. Okay. Okay, I can see that you guys have a better sense with the shampoo set. Okay, I know why. Because kitchen paper is not so common in Taiwan. Okay. Hey, Simone, you changed to 324. Okay. So no more changing. If you want to change, Simone, retype. So add another price afterward. Yeah, there you go, Simone. I see that many of you guessed the same price. 323.5. Okay. 590, 320. 568.7. Okay. 500. Okay, yeah, quite close. All right, so hey, time's up. Okay, last guess. Okay, no more new guess anymore. Okay, and Polly is gonna upload the true price. Okay, and any guess after the true price will be discarded. Yeah, so the true price is 319, 319. Okay, okay, Claudia. Plus shipping, of course, higher. Sorry, I did not ask for to include the shipping price. I'm only asking the product price. 319. So let's see who's the winner. This time, yeah. Oh, just a little bit higher than the true price. Oh, we might not have a price that is close and bit. Wait, Anna, 310 below 319 and really close. Do we have other guesses? Belang, your original guess was 310. Yeah, but you changed it. Too bad, Belang. The original guess was right. Was good. Yeah, so I think in this case, Anna, you're the winner of stage 1 for the second round. Oh, okay, it's very similar. I see, I see. Yeah, Amazon, if you take the direct if you take the Amazon's exchange rate, okay, you're below. But you know what? Polly was looking up Bank of Taiwan's exchange rate. Sorry about that. That is actually a little bit more precise. So in a way, if you shop on Amazon and use Amazon's exchange rate, you're overcharged. Okay, not by much, but a little bit overcharged. Good. Anna, show yourself on Google Meet. So let me 恩品子俊. Okay, Anna, do we see you somewhere? Okay, let me unpin myself. Oh, there you are. Okay, great, great. All right, and I will pin myself as well. Yeah, that way, the rest of the class see both of us. Okay, great. Now here's the item for stage 2. And I want to make sure that I'm not uploading the solution. Okay, hey. Now, this is the item. All right, so this is the item. It's actually a washing machine, a laundry machine. White color, really nice, clean design. The size is just perfect for a single family. Okay. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Well, it's actually. Is it really large? I thought it's reasonable, right? The width is 20 inches. That 50 centimeters. I think it's reasonable. 50. All right. So Anna, are you ready?
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds, just like Zijun.
Like 25,000. 25,000.
Excuse me?
25,000.
Oh, okay. You have already started guessing. Okay. No. I'll have to count down, and then we start. Okay. Good. So, 3, 2, 1, start.
25,000.
25,000 too high.
20.
20,000 too high.
15.
Too high.
10.
Too high.
8.
A little too high.
7,900.
Too high.
7,800.
Too high.
7,700.
Too high. Last guess.
7,550.
Too low, but really, really close. Guys, how about we give Anna a chance to finish and get the exact price? Yeah, I think Anna, keep going. Okay, 7,350 too low.
Okay.
Some
Wait,
something.
700, 350, you say too low?
Yeah, 7,350 too low.
7,400.
7,400
400.
too high.
7,390.
Too high.
7,350. 55.
Too low.
7,360.
A little too low.
70.
A little too.
700,
Yeah, 60 too low. 70 too high.
65.
A little too high.
64.
A little too high.
63.
Bingo. Yeah, 7,363. Yeah, so the true price, yeah, of this washing machine. And by the way, guys, this washing machine is from Muji. I think it's a very popular Asian brand. Okay, so let me reveal what exactly this product is. All right. Yeah, it's a Muji, a washing machine. 7,363. Very affordable. Oh, this meeting has ended. Uh-oh. Oh, I know why, guys. Yeah, that's probably because Google Meet has changed the policy. And if we have a group meeting, that is, yeah, I know. But it's okay, because that's about the end of it. Good that they cut us off after we are done with quiz 26. All right. So, guys, yeah. By the way, Anna, well done. You received 5 participation points. Okay. You know what? In the history of Poly giving quiz 26, it's very, very rare that any team wins the eventual 20 extra point prize. There was a year that I give the students 1 minute time. Then they managed to pull it off. Okay. But 30 seconds, very short. Okay. Good. So, but you guys observe, right? Anna was guessing, right? 7,350 too low, 70 too high, right? And then fall in the middle, 360, 60 too high, 50 too low, then maybe 65. When 65 is too high, 60 too low, maybe 63, right? So you see that what Polly was demonstrating there is a little bit what? Binary search. You try to guess the price in the middle, right? Within the reasonable range. And then if it's too high, then you guess the middle price. If it's too high, too low. If it's too high, you then try to find the middle price of the lower half. If it's too low, you try to guess the price of the higher half. So you see a little bit that why TCP is trying to guess the right sending rate by doing MD. Additive increase is incremental, and linear increase. But MD is what? To drop it to the middle point. So yeah, that explains a little bit the MD part of TCP's rate adaptation. Good. And guys, you know what? It's the time to take a break. So try to exercise among you guys so that see if you can make 30 seconds for a random item. Good. So let's take a 10 minutes break. It's 10. Wait, what time is it now? Yeah, I think it's 11:07 Taiwan time. So let's take a break and we'll come back and resume the rest of the lecture. So AIMD is just the way TCP guess the right sending rate in the steady state. Okay, there's something else called slow start state. When TCP just start, it's actually guessing the right sending rate in a slightly different fashion. Okay, and they are a lot more aggressive incrementing the guess. Okay, so let's take a break. Okay. Yeah, so that music is to call you guys back. So it's 17. So, guys, thank you. Thank you guys for standing up for Kayan. I think it's team 5. Yeah, so Polly was actually juggling between the two screens, and it's not Polly's usual screen. I couldn't see your the chat, and in the meantime, the other Slack posts when I show the full picture of the item. Sorry about that. Yeah, but you know what? Kayan is gonna be back and compete for stage 2. Kayan, are you ready? You want to mute your YouTube stream? Okay. Can you try if you can speak?
Hello.
All right, great. Okay, so the true contestant too is now, but you know what, Anna? Don't worry, you still get your 5 points. Okay, Kayan, you get your 5 points as well. Now let me reveal your stage 2 item. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, this one should be very easy. So, so this is to try to make up that Polly overlook. 315, because your value is like in between 540 something. That is really wild. I kind of just skip that. Sorry about that. Yeah, you know what? This is what? A charger that comes with 4 ports, including Type C and Type A connections. All right. It's really nice and powerful. It's probably more expensive than the usual charger. All right. Now, Kayan, are you ready? I'm gonna try to count down. All right. And then you have 30 seconds to get the price right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, start.
3,000.
Too high.
1,000.
Too low.
2,000.
Too high.
1,500.
Too high.
1,351.
Too high.
1,200.
Too low.
102,078.
Do you mean 1338?
1,238.
1238. Too low. So you know what, Kayan? Let me give you another 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. 12 something. That's too low.
1,251.
Too low.
1,278.
Too low.
1,291.
Too low.
1,299.
Too low.
1,321.
A little too low.
1,332.
Too high.
1,330.
Too high.
1,327.
Too high.
Oh.
I know it's hard, isn't it? Yeah, because sometimes you forget about the other number. So guys, next time, if you want to competing Price is Right, make sure you bring paper and pen so you can record exactly what you have guessed earlier. Kayan, you did great. So you earned still 5 points extra. Good. Thank you. Thank you for participating.
Okay, thanks.
Good. All right, so let's come back to the lecture. I think we've demonstrated enough that how TCP come up with their mechanism. It's very natural because as you guys are guessing prices, sometimes you linearly decrease. Sometimes you linearly increase. Okay, sometimes you multiplicative decrease, and sometimes you linear decrease. Multiplicative increase. All right. So these are the obvious options. Good. Now, so TCP, however, let me stress, it's additive increase, that means linear increase. Multiplicative decrease, that means binary decrease. Okay, good. Now, as I mentioned before the break, so AIMD is what TCP does to guess the right sending rate when a connection is in a steady state. So that means a connection that has run for a long time, then it's AIMD. When a connection just starts, it's doing this thing called slow start. Okay, so here's the video to explain how it works.
Something that's a little bit unusual in TCP's process of discovering the proper sending rate is this. There's an initialization phase, and the mechanism is called the slow start. Okay. What it does there is, when TCP is just starting, a connection is just starting, the initial window size is set to 1 MSS. And the increasing pace is no longer AIMD, it's actually what? Doubling the window size per round trip time. AIMD is what? Increasing the window size by 1 MSS per round trip time. Wow, so that's actually quite aggressive, isn't it? You are correct, because the window size in slow start, in the initialization phase, is going to increase exponentially. Because every round trip time, you double the size. Every round trip time, you double the size. As opposed to in AIMD, every round trip time, you increase by 1 segment size. Every round trip time, you increase 1 segment size. Right, so yeah, the initial rate, very, very small, 1. So slow start is actually referring to, yeah, the initial window size being, yeah, the lowest possible. But the increasing rate is actually exponentially fast. Okay, so this is actually the part of design in TCP's congestion control that can confuse you a little bit. It's slow start, but it's actually increasing really, really fast, right? So the intuition says this is fast start, in fact. Okay. Yes, you are correct, but the slow here actually meant the window size, the initial value, is a very low value. Okay. The last point I want to make is this. Okay. Doubling window size per round trip time in the implementation is actually done this way. Okay. Window size is incremented by 1 after receiving an act. Okay, so look at the illustration I have on the right. A is the sender, B is the receiver. A originally in slow start having a CWND of 1 MSS. That data packet will go, receiver here will send an ACK back. Host A here being the sender, receiving an ACK will do what? CWND plus plus, and the increment is 1 MSS. As a result, it was originally 1, now 2. Therefore, sender here can send 2 segments in MSS. So these will go and generate 2x coming back. Sender here receiving 2x will be calling this line twice, therefore 2 will become 4. Similarly, 4x comes back here, and this will be called 4 times, therefore the window size becomes 8. And the next round, 16. You see an exponential increase here, right, by a factor of 2, isn't it? So overall, TCP's process of discovering the proper sending rate is more like this. This is a TCP connection, and this is the beginning of it, and this is the end of it. So there's this initialization phase where we run the slow start mechanism, okay, and the behavior of the window size is AIMD. And then in the steady phase, we run this congestion avoidance mechanism. The behavior of the window size is AIMD.
So that was a slow start. So the beginning of a TCP connection actually do exponential increase. It's really fast pace increase, in fact. So what they meant by slow start, they actually meant whenever a TCP connection starts, the window size always start from a very small number, such as 1. Okay, so, but given that the number is very small, it's probably too conservative to just do AIMD, because it might take a long time until you kind of push over the limit. So exponential increases to allow you to grow fast from a small number to find the potential limit. Okay, and once you reach the limit, then you will start the multiplicative decrease. Okay. All right, so that's TCP connection. There are 2 phases. In one phase, EIMD. In the later phase, AIMD. Now, how does TCP decide when to slow down? Yeah, that is actually determined by this detecting a packet loss. So the next video is to address this. I mean, we keep increasing as we receive acknowledgements. When do we start doing multiplicative decrease? Let's hear out.
Now let's summarize TCP's condition control. And what I'm going to show you is actually a little bit more formal using a finite state machine. And you see how TCP sender here implements, okay, the mechanism of adjusting the window size. The full finite state machine has two states, okay? Each represents, different phases of TCP's condition control in a connection. So the first is the initial phase, the slow start phase. Initialization transition here is actually initializing the condition window size to one segment, and then initializing the SS thresh to 64 kilobytes. I think this number could differ from operating system to operating system, and then initializing the duplicate ICANN. All right, so that was clear. Let's move to the normal transitions. There are four of them. If you look a bit closer, the top two here are actually the transitions handled in the cases where the sender receives X. The bottom two are the cases where the sender detects losses. So this one here is actually detecting a loss due to receiving 3 duplicates.
Guys, sorry, I actually played the wrong video. It's actually not that video I wanted to play. Sorry about that, so reset. Now this is the video I really want to play.
And you heard probably pollys saying, yeah, TCP increases the window size when there are no losses and decrease when there's a loss. But if you think a little bit carefully, in TCP, the sender detects a packet loss two ways. One is, there's a timer set when the packet is sent. When the timer expires, the sender there discovers the packet is lost and then retransmit. But in TCP, there's something also called fast retransmission. We are retransmitting packet faster right after receiving triple duplicate X. So there are two ways in TCP sender to detect a packet loss. In fact, in TCP's condition control, we are also adjusting the window size differently depending on which type of loss is being detected. First is a loss being detected by sensing the timer timeout. We then set the window size all the way down to one segment, okay, and then grow exponentially just like in slow start state. After a certain threshold, then grow linearly just like in the congestion avoidance state. On the other hand, when the loss is detected by seeing 3 duplicate acts, then the congestion window is actually cut to only half the current window size, not all the way down to 1. And then grows simply linearly. So this is very much like what? AIMD. Yeah, you're actually right. When the loss is detected this way, the TCP sender is actually dropping the sending rate to half and then continue on with the AIMD, therefore, into the CA state, the congestion avoidance state. So the TCP connection here is still in the steady state. But if the loss is detected this way, it appears that the TCP thinks this is actually a more serious scenario. Therefore, the window size needs to go all the way down and then being reinitialized, okay, until the window size grows to a certain degree. Then we do the AIMD, like in the steady state. Okay. Now, based on your intuition, which loss of these two you think is more serious? Yeah, I know, it's quite obvious, right? Because in this case here below, at least you get to receive 3 duplicate acts. That indicates the network is still capable of sending 3 packets through. Therefore, you get 3 acts back. But this scenario here, it's top. You don't get any data through, you don't get any data back, or you get only 2 duplicate acts back. So, more serious. Therefore, Windows drop down even more aggressively, all the way down to 1, and that's restart, reinitialize again. Now, the only thing that you thought, interesting is this. So we have not yet defined what is this threshold yet, because it seems that this threshold is there to determine how a TCP connection there start from the initial state, entering the steady state. So that is also the point to decide. When do we change the mechanism from slow start to congestion avoidance? First point to add to the slide is this. The threshold in TCP's implementation is called SS thresh. You guess, S and S here actually meant S and S here in slow start. Second point, the whole mechanism differentiating how we adjust the window size depending on the type of loss being detected is implemented in TCP Reno. Yeah, I know. TCP designers is a bit weird. They like to call different versions of TCP with names instead of using a number. So Reno there is essentially the version 4, TCP version 4. There's another version of TCP, TCP Tahoe. So this is actually the first generation. So what's being designed there is this. The loss, no matter whether it's detected by timeout or 3-duplicate acts, the window size is adjusted the same way, always down to 1. That means Tahoe there is very, very conservative. Whenever there is a loss detected, the sender always go down to the lowest rate possible. And that might be a bit too slow based on experience, therefore, in the second generation. The designers begin to say, hey, maybe in this easier case, okay, at least we see 3 data go and then 3 duplicate acts back. It's not so bad. Let's only cut the window size to half and then remain in the congestion avoidance phase.
Yeah, so you see that it's packet losses the time that TCP slows down, drops the window size. But there are 2 types of losses, right? 3-duplicate act type of loss or the timeout type of loss. And they kind of react, depending on which version TCP this is, they might react a little bit differently. Good. So now we know AIMD and increment is actually triggered by receiving acknowledgement, and decrement is triggered by detecting a packet loss. Now, one more video to explain exactly how the transition from slow start to the congestion avoidance phase is done. Okay.
So what I'm illustrating here is TCP Tahoe's window size changing over time. At the beginning, window size set to 1 segment. And then slow start, right? This is the initial phase. And therefore you see exponentially fast growth, the concave curve. And this is going to go until we hit the slow start threshold. That's when we exit slow start and enter congestion avoidance, where we do AIMD, so additive increase. At this point, we detect a packet loss due to 3 duplicate acts. But in Tahoe, we'll just drop the window size back down to 1 again. And then slow start again, a concave curve, until we hit the threshold again, and then AIMD again in the congestion avoidance state. Now, what's in Reno is, however, when we detect 3 duplicate acts, a packet loss, what we do is more simple, where we just reset the window size to half of the original window size, which is 12. So we set it to 6, and then continue to grow the window size AIMD, such as in the congestion avoidance state. Okay. Now, by looking at this plot, you also see, hey, we are switching from the slow start to the congestion avoidance state using the threshold. At the beginning, the SS thresh is initialized to a fixed value. But afterwards, you see the SS thresh is also changing. And when we detect a loss, when we need to reset the congestion window size down to some lower value, when that happens, when the packet loss is detected, the threshold here is also reset. And the value is set to exactly half of the window size before the packet loss is detected. So SS thresh is set to half of the window size just before the loss event. Okay. So in the TCP Reno's case, it's convenient. We set the threshold to the half of the window size, and we also set the window size to half of the earlier window size and continue to grow like this. So it's also saying passing the threshold and then this connection in the congestion avoidance state. If we go back to the original question asking, when do we switch from the slow start state to the congestion avoidance state, or from exponential increase back to linear increase? Answer is very clear. once the condition window hits the SS threshold, the slow start threshold. Because if you look at this, slow start, passing the threshold, growing linearly. Slow start, passing the threshold, growing linearly. And in this case, we see 3 duplicate X, therefore we drop the window size to half, and we drop the SS threshold also to half. But hey, as long as it's beyond the threshold, the window size grows linearly, then the design does not conflict, okay, with other parts of TCP's condition window adjustment mechanism.
All right, so that is overall how TCP adjusts the sending rate and eventually figuring out what is the right sending rate. All right, so let me address a few questions before we move on to look into the finite state machines of TCP's condition control. Let me see. Yeah, so Kevin was asking, how do you know the MSS? Kevin, you know what? MSS is maximum segment size. That is actually 1460. It's a fixed size. It's the maximum. The actual packet size could be smaller than the MSS. Vincent? Oh, this is not a question. It's almost like a suggestion. If server can tell the client approximately what the window size is, then it will be faster. Yeah, the slow start can be a little bit, not so slow start. But I guess the question then is, how does the server know what is the approximate CWND? Isn't it? If the client doesn't know, how come the server knows? All right, Vincent, that is a question. Back to you. Yeah, so Kevin thought, okay, good. That's alternative thinking, which is a good thing. But after alternative thinking, there's probably a little bit more thinking to do, right? How does server know what is the right CWND? And the other Kevin, Kevin Xuan, was saying, is this the TCP standard or it's possible to change the rate? You know what, Kevin? What I just described, AIMD or slow start, EIMD, and from slow start to condition avoidance, there's a threshold to determine, right? So exponential increase, but when we go beyond the threshold, linear increase. This is all in TCP standard. So TCP will just control the sending rate, okay, following the rules. Yeah, so we don't get to say, or the server doesn't get to say, or we don't get to say what is the rate we want to send data. If we want to do that, we'll have to use UDP and then implement our ideas of adjusting the rate. Okay. Leon, what is the full name of TCP Reno? It's just TCP Reno. Reno is a vacation spot in Northern California. Yeah, so TCP we know. Yeah, TCP Reno, I think it's just the second version of TCP. TCP Tahoe, the first version. And TCP Tahoe will always go exponential, linear. Whenever there's a loss, no matter what kind of loss it will always go down to slow start. So you see that it's very conservative. And Reno then is a little bit less conservative, right? If it really it will really judge depending on the type of packet loss. If it's 3 duplicate X, that means it's probably just a single packet loss. Therefore, the other packets can go and trigger duplicate X to come back. So in that case, we don't always drop the condition window size down to 1 and so start again. So we just drop it to half and then linear increase. So we cut the slow start process there, okay, in Reno. Okay, Chinti. Okay, so if we don't like Tahoe, can we select to use Reno? Or maybe there's a newer version of TCP. I know you guys are probably thinking that the strategy is not gonna adapt really fast. But you know what, Chinti? Which version of TCP we use is determined. It's coded in operating system. Okay, so if we use Mac OS certain version, or if we use Windows 10, usually whichever version of OS you use whatever the default TCP version they implement in the operating system. Yeah. If you really want to change, then you might need to reconfigure the kernel somehow, recompile, and then run your own OS kernel. Yeah. I don't know, maybe you don't have to recompile the kernel, but you would definitely need to somehow reload the TCP code, okay, and make sure that it works. Okay, Kevin, it's okay. Yeah, because we talked about MSS like a couple weeks ago. Vincent, maybe server can check free buffer size. But you know what? The buffer size at the server is the receive buffer. And we know and we control for receive buffer using what? The flow control. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, right? The first video we talked about TCP's flow control. That is to control such that the server and the receive buffer does not get overflowed. But TCP congestion control, the stuff we were talking about today, this is to try to control such that the buffer inside these routers in the internet backbone do not overflow. The server being at the other end, also on the edge, doesn't know. Okay? Yeah, Vincent, think about it a little bit more. Okay? These are great questions because then I realized that you guys are probably a little bit confused. It's not the receiver, it's not the server buffer we are trying to prevent overflowing. It's the router, and the router is inside the backbone. Sender or the client, receiver or the server, they don't know. They don't know what's going on in the network. Okay, it's a little bit like for quiz 25, you are the driver. Right? Before you go out on the highway, you don't know the highway is congested. Okay? And you might need to arrive at the airport, but other drivers at the airport coming back, they are not on the highway. They don't know the network is congested. Yeah. So you see that the internet is very interesting in a way that it's huge. Okay, there are many computers there that are interconnected. It's not just the receiver buffer can overflow. There are many routers in the middle, and those buffers can also overflow. In fact, chances higher that those buffers in the middle of the internet are easily overflow because traffic will intersect or will cross over in the middle of the network more than competing the buffer at the edge. Okay. Guanting was asking which version is definitely not by no, sorry. Exactly, you are right. So Guanting, it's not decided by us or application programmers. So in the user space, we don't get to choose anymore. If you recall in the socket programming assignments, all we can say is we want a TCP socket or UDP socket, and that's about it. We don't get to say, I want a TCP socket and I want the Tahoe version. Yeah, so it's actually decided by OS, but I know that at least for Unix people, what we can do is to maybe load other versions of TCP, and so that it works on top of the default kernel. Kevin, maybe we could have some monitors in the routers. Exactly. That is the, Kevin, that is the network-assisted approach is trying to say. So in network-assisted approach, we would then have these monitors tracking the remaining buffer size or the queue size. And given the remaining buffer size, and given how many flows there are passing this router, right? This router can advise the ends. Okay, what will be the fair sending rate? And if you guys all these connections crossing the router send the sending rate in a fair rate, then they will work well together and not exceeding this router's capacity. that was what the network assisted approach is trying to do, Kevin. Very good question, because this way, after I address the question, after we debate about this end-to-end approach, you see a little bit of the value in the network assisted approach, isn't it? I get it. So the traffic in routers seem to be too complex to calculate. Oh, okay. Vincent, it's not exactly hard to calculate, as I mentioned, right? So a router can monitor how many flows or how many connections are passing, and what is the remaining buffer space, okay? And so the router there can then try to calculate the rate for each of the flows, and then informing the source, the sender, the source end of the flow of the connection. So the source end of the connection can set the congestion window size according to the calculated result. What's a little bit hard is to make sure all the routers in the backbone will work consistently this way. Something potentially hard is also that there could be multiple congestion points in the network. And these routers can all be informing the source to try to slow down. And what should the source do, right? Does it choose a lower of the two suggestions or the higher or what? Yeah, and I think the hardest part is to get the routers all implemented with some sort of monitors like that. Okay, more questions. Caffrey, in condition control, the role of server is just like sender. The role of server. Okay, so I think I will need to clarify. So we're talking about congestion control in TCP. Okay, so in TCP there are two ends. Okay, one will be sending data, the other receiving data. Okay, but you see TCP is also bidirectional. That means, hey, this guy here receiving data can also be sending data. In the meantime, it sends acknowledgement for the data the other direction. So in a TCP connection, the two ends, they can be sender receiver of each other. Now, as to which is server, which is client. So I'm actually assuming that usually there's one being client, and this one will be the one initiating the TCP connection, right? Once a connection is established, the first data is going to come from the client, okay? And receiver of the first data is going to be the server, all right? Yeah, so I think that probably confuse a little bit confuse you a little bit, Kathy. Yeah, both are end systems, yes. Client and server are both end systems. Yeah, so in a way, you are right that the server can also be a sender. The server can also be a receiver. That is what I was trying to clarify. Okay, good. All right, now the last videos are just to describe what we talked about already in the previous 4 videos, but in a more formal way in terms of finite state machine. Okay, and now let's start incrementally as well. First, the slow start part of the finite state machine, which you saw a little bit.
Now let's summarize TCP's congestion control. And what I'm going to show you is actually a little bit more formal using a finite state machine. And you see how TCP sender here implements, okay, the mechanism of adjusting the window size. The full finite state machine has 2 states, okay? Each represents, different phases of TCP's congestion control in a connection. The first is the initial phase, the slow start phase. Initialization transition here is actually initializing the condition window size to 1 segment, and then initializing the SS thresh to 64 kilobytes. I think this number could differ from operating system to operating system, and then initializing the duplicate ICANN. All right, so that was clear. Let's move to the normal transitions. There are 4 of them. Okay. If you look a bit closer, the top two here are actually the transitions handled in the cases where the sender receives X. The bottom two are the cases where the sender detects losses. So this one here is actually detecting a loss due to receiving 3 duplicate acts. This transition here is actually detecting a loss due to timeout. Now let's talk about each of these transitions a bit more. So number one here is if we receive a new act. Now according to source star mechanism, the condition window needs to be incremented by 1 segment, and that's it. So duplicate act count is reduced to 0 just so to clear all the duplicate act counts, because now we are receiving a new act. So we should definitely clear the dupe act count. And at this point, then we employ the rest of the sender's mechanism, the RDT part of it, so that we what? Slide the window over and then send new segments. And how much we send out there depends on the result of the condition control mechanism working. And next, transition number 2, this is when we receive a duplicate act. So what we do here, of course, increment the counter for duplicate act. And what do? The condition control process, no more, right? Unless the count here reaches 3. That triggers transition 3. Okay. Now in RDT of TCP, this event is going to also trigger fast retransmission. So in a way, when there's dupe act count equaling 3, then we do something for the condition control and then some more for the reliable data transfer. Now in the condition control, what we do is setting the SS thresh to half the window size, and window size to half of the current window size, which is now the value of SS thresh. And then reset the duplicate act count, right? And then we can begin doing the RDT, which is to fast retransmit packets. Now the number of packets we can send now then is determined by the condition window size we just set aside earlier. Transition 4, this is also packet loss, but this is packet loss detected by having a timeout. So in this case, the condition control says we need to set SS thresh to half of the window size, and the window size all the way down to 1 packet, and then reset the dupe act count. And then from here, the RDT mechanism, which is what? To retransmit the missing segment. And because this time, in this case, condition window is set to 1 packet, therefore we only retransmit 1 segment. No matter how many packets have been sent, how many yellow packets or yellow bytes are there in the sliding window, right?
Okay, so in that state machine, you see 2 transitions to handle acknowledgements, and 2 transitions are packet loss, right? There are 2 types, 3 duplicate act type of loss, and the other is the timeout type of loss. Okay. Now, when you receive new act versus duplicate act, right? If it's new act, you need to increment the window size, so you update C, W, and D as well. Now, what about the congestion avoidance side of finite state machine? You can imagine that it's very similar to the source star, and it is.
Done with the source star state. Now, let's move to the congestion avoidance state. So the first thing is, hey, when do we transition from SS to CA? Yep, when the congestion window size is larger than the SS thresh. And that takes us to the congestion avoidance state, where we see again, transition new act, transition duplicate act, transition dupe act count equal 3. And hey, where's the timeout state? Well, the timeout state is actually here, right? Because when we're in the congestion avoidance state, timeout is actually series packet loss. We reset the congestion window down to 1 end. Start from the source star, increment the window size exponentially, start from the source star. So we need to do a state change in this finite state machine, going back from CA to SS. Okay. And otherwise, all these the same, just like timeout event. Similarly, for dupe act count equaling 3, all the same. Okay. Actually, similarly for dupe act, just incrementing the duplicate act count. But the last one, the new act, wow, we need to be careful here, all right? Because in SS versus CA, when we receive a new act, meaning no loss, we actually increase the window size differently. So yes, this is why you see here In SS, in SO star, we're incrementing the window size by 1 segment per ACK. Here, we need to increase the window size by 1 segment per round trip time. So be very, very careful here. This is receiving an ACK. Now, hey, checking, and we see that there's 1 round trip time elapsed. So we need to figure out exactly the amount to increment to the window size so that after 1 round trip time, the increment will be exactly 1. And how do we do that? Think this. If the window size is CWND and the packet size is MSS, how many packets will be out in 1 round trip time? Yeah, this many, isn't it? Okay. And after all these packets come back in, the increment of the congestion window should be 1. That is saying we cannot be incrementing the window size by MSS. We need to increase this much. Okay. After this amount of packets received, then we add to this value. So we need to divide this value by these. That would say this is the amount we need to increment per packet. Okay. So if we rewrite this formula here, it's what? MSS multiply, so MSS multiply reverse of CWND to MSS. So after reversing, MSS at the top and then CWND at the bottom. And that is TCP congestion control sender's finite state machine in a simplistic way. You see here, let me summarize again. Yeah, so these are the events receiving new ACK. These are the events handling timeout. And these are the events handling receiving the duplicate ACKs and it's reaching the count of 3.
All right, so I feel that the video was cut short somehow. So maybe it's my file screwing up a little bit. There are also events that's handling duplicate ACKs. Okay, let me just add to that by saying that part here. And now it's time to do quiz 27. Okay, so you see that the finite state machine of the source star and congestion avoidance. Right there on the left. Okay, so here's a scenario. We have host A and host B. Okay, the host A congestion window size is currently 4 MSS. There's a threshold being A. Now, when the congestion window size is 4, then it sends 4 packets. Okay, each carrying MSS. Okay, through the network. So in that, you see the sequence number starts from, okay, I actually meant 0 to 3 MSSS subtracting 1. Okay, so I'll change that in a little bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be 4 MSS total. So okay, so maybe I'll change that later. So essentially 4 messages go out and each MSSS. The sequence number should start from 0, okay, and all the way to 3 MSS minus 1. Okay, so therefore each data packet is 1 MSS bytes long. Good. Now the scenario is this. The third packet is lost on the way to host B. So in this case, host B will send ACK for the first packet, ACK for the second packet, but not getting the third one, but send an ACK, but that ACK will be a duplicate ACK. Okay, so that ACK is to react to packet 4, but it needs to be a duplicate ACK according to TCP's RDT. Okay, so first ACK will be acknowledging what? The next expected byte. So after receiving byte 0 to MSS subtracting 1, then the next byte expected is 1 MSS. Okay. Similarly, the second ACK sequence number is 2 MSS. The third ACK is actually triggered by the fourth packet, and it's a duplicate ACK, so the ACK sequence number is again 2 MSS. All right. So Q24 is asking, okay, that you guys derive the value of B and C and D. Now Q1 is asking, if the SS thresh initially was 8, okay, what should be the value of B, C, and D? If the value of A is 4, that is Q2. What would be the value of BCD? Okay, so you want to show your derivation. And you see that if A is 8 versus 4, how host A react to a new egg is different, isn't it? Yeah, the new egg transition in soul star versus in congestion avoidance are different. Okay, good. So let's go to W10 quiz 27 and work on it. For this, I think 3 minutes should be sufficient. All right, so let's count 3 minutes. Yeah, guys. Yeah. So Zijun was perfectly right. Right. So Polly would try to show you the derivation this time. Okay. Let's see. So that's derive B, C, D for just Q2, right? Because Q1, I think it's quite straightforward, isn't it? For Q1, MSSA and CWND is only 4. Okay, sorry, SS thresh is 8 packets and CWND is 4 packets. So host A there is obviously still in the soul star state. In soul star state, when we receive an acknowledgement, what do? So we check out the, okay, let me use a laser pointer here. Yeah. So in slow start state, when we see a new egg, what do? We increment the CWND by 1 packet. So when we are receiving first egg, B will be what? Will be the value of CWND incremented by 1 packet. And it was previously 4 MSS. Therefore, after receiving egg 1, it will be 5 MSS. Okay. Similarly, C should be 6 MSS. But you know what? The third egg is the same duplicate egg. So duplicate egg will be doing the duplicate egg transition. That means the CWND did not change because all we do here in the duplicate egg transition is just to count the duplicates. Okay, so Q1 is straightforward. What about Q2? Whoa, threshold is 4 and congestion window size is 4. That means we are then in the congestion avoidance phase. Okay. When we receive an egg in the congestion avoidance phase, what do? We also increment the congestion window size, but the formula is different. Okay, we only change it by 1 MSS of a window. Okay, so if the window size is like 4 packets, then we will only increase 1/2 of a packet, 1/4 of a packet size. Okay, if the window size is 4 packet, we increase only 1/4, okay, of a packet size. That way, with 4 eggs, you increase only 1 packet. So yeah, let's do the calculation according to the finite state machine. Okay, focus on Q2. So B here should be what? According to the formula, CWND plus MSS multiply MSS over CWND. And it was originally 4, okay, and this is therefore also 4 MSS, okay. And so you subtract, so you kind of cancel out the MSS is in the term, so it's what, 4 plus 1/4 of MSS, yeah, 4 plus 1/4 of MSS, together 4.25 MSS. Now what about C? What about C? Yeah, C. So we had 4.25, okay, for B. So C then, okay, 4.25 plus, yeah, MSS multiply MSS over 4.25 MSS, okay. So I think I kind of, 4.25, yeah, 4.25. So 4.25 plus 4 over 17, 0.24. So I use a calculator. I get 0.24 here. So adding up to about 4.5. Yeah. And you get the idea because when you receive 2 more eggs, you get a rough number that is close to 5, isn't it? So about 1 MSS increment after a window, okay, of packets. Okay, so that is the idea of congestion avoidance and the rate of changing the congestion window size. Okay, so it's 1 packet more after 1 round trip, 1 window. In slow start, 1 packet per egg. So if you have 4 eggs in a 1 round trip, you increment the window size by 4. Okay, so that's the difference we're talking about. Good. Let's see. Yeah, so Zijun is perfectly right. And you know what? That is all the time we have for today. Good. So what I will do is to call it a day. And next week, okay, Wednesday, we'll try to continue the remaining part of chapter 3.6. We have not yet done talking about a very interesting optimization of TCP's congestion control. It's called the fast recovery. Okay, so slow start, congestion avoidance state is not all. There's one more state, fast recovery. Okay, so we'll start by doing that next Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be able to finish the entire TCP's congestion control finite state machine and talk about the more advanced topics of condition control. And that should cover the remaining part of chapter 3. And so we'll be set for the exam on Thursday. Okay, good. All right, so with that said, see you. Okay, that's all. And hope you guys follow the slides that I just showed and being able to answer for quiz 27. Okay, bye.